Okay. So, okay, sometimes we also face some difficulties to unmute the mic and say something. So we can use one some interactive softwares with which you can give your answers. So, are you able to see this? So, I have shared something like your profile of a teacher. Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir. Sir, a very gentle request. If you could just fix up your mic, the voice is getting, I mean, it's not that clear.
Okay. So what about now?
All right, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. It's a software. It's a Mentimeter, which is an interactive presentation software. So with which we can conduct a live polling on quizzes like that. So what you have to do is just copy paste this go to this website www.menti.com and use this particular code to poll your answer. You can give your answers. So just go to this website www.menti.com and use this particular code 66147184. So I can see whether you are giving answers or not. So just try this. Try this. I couldn't see any answers. Is there any network issue or something? I don't know. Let's wait for 1 or 2 minutes. So this is a software with which in between this presentation itself we can take some live polls. So that even the students or teachers don't know who is answering or what's their. They can understand the overall feeling of the class, but we cannot understand the person who is sending these answers. So are you able to, could you please, Dr. Ankita, could you please try this? Yeah, something is coming. Yeah, so it's working. So please, yeah, do it fast. So it just need 1 minute to complete this poll. So job profile, yeah, you answered out of your 85 participants, only 2 answered this question, 3. Yeah, I don't know why you are not participating in this poll. Only I received only 6 answers. It's very slow, so you have to do it fast.
I urge all the participants to actively participate with sir in the session of sir, as you have been doing earlier in the sessions.
Participants are writing in the chat box. Rather than writing in the chat box, you have to go to this www.menti.com and then type this code given in front of you. So please do not use the chat box. Go to that website.
Okay, so I received only 7. Yes, but it should not be like this. I hope all of you will participate in this poll. 1 and 3. So you are taking too much time.
So many of them have responded in the chat box.
Yeah, but actually we have given the proper instructions. So your teachers or even the students are also following something like this. What is the situation? Okay, so let me continue with this talk. So main thing we can say that acquiring knowledge, creating knowledge, and disseminating knowledge. So all the above. So at least 11 of them answered. So all the above comes under the activities of the teacher. So and we know that normally we follow a traditional teaching. So in traditional teaching, we can say there are some advantages like regular attendance will be there, some more interactions will be there with the students, or we can say that there will be some discipline, so maintain the discipline by following some campus rule or something scheduled in campus, class times like that. So, and another thing is that in the traditional classroom, the teachers know their students personally. So by which they can able to evaluate the strength and weakness of the students and guide them in a better way. So in our institute, in our university, so in last time when MSc students entered for their first semester, so now the first semester and midterm exams are about to happen in next week, but we didn't see any of them. So that's the situation in this online platform. Okay, so okay, I received some 16 or 17 answers. So let's stop that. So okay, so when you consider this traditional teaching and this online teaching, so which one you prefer, whether it's a traditional or online? So that's another question supposed to post here, but I'm not posting it. Let me move on. So due to these changes in this COVID situation and the rapid development of ideas of knowledge, so the role of educator or the teachers is now increased. So, but in every institutions, they demand innovations. So in order to handle this type of situation, like mainly which came as a blessing due to this COVID-19. Because of this COVID-19, everything suddenly transformed into an online system. So that we can say it's a blessing due to this COVID-19, but otherwise it may take more time to move into these online platforms. So most of the time we will stick with the traditional platforms only if there is no issues. But nowadays, so there is a chance to move ahead. So we can also move into something like blended learning or that kind of possibilities. So in this lecture we are planning to discuss about the innovations in pedagogy or pedagogy. Pedagogy means something like the science of teaching or some approaches for the teaching. So if you just consider a education system, there are three pillars for the education systems. We can say curriculum is the one thing. Then based on that, we have to take the classes. So this conduction of the particular course is the second one. Third one is the evaluation. So we have to evaluate the particular subject and give the marks. So we can describe these pedagogical innovations as it's any kind of action that aims to improve the student learning. Okay, so there are different factors affecting this case in these innovations, but mainly we can say let us consider some 5 factors. Teachers, first of all, the teacher is a main person. Then institution, it should support for your innovative activities. Then colleagues, then students and teaching environment. So these are the different factors which affect the innovative activities of the students, teacher. Okay, so but we can say that the changes in students' population and this learning environments, we can say that the conventional or the old approach is not suitable in the present era also, in this particularly in this COVID era also. So mainly, if we are looking into some online courses, the different thousands of online courses are available. So if the teachers are not expert in a particular field, the students can take some courses which they like, and they can complete it at their own pace. And so different possibilities are there in this particular century. So we will be mainly discussing about some of the innovations in the pedagogy. So mainly about I will be stick with this outcome-based education and how we can incorporate some of the ICT approaches to improve our teaching. So all these things will be covered in this particular talk. Okay. So okay, have you ever heard about outcome-based education? Outcome-based education, OBE. So that's what I am planning to discuss here. So outcome-based education, so we can define this outcome-based education as. So I hope it's visible. Yeah. So we can say that outcome-based education means it's clearly focusing and organizing everything in an institutional system around what is essential for all students to be able to do successfully at the end of their learning experience. So after completing a particular course, the students must be able to do certain things. So what are they? So also I will discuss all these things. So this means that basically is starting with a clear picture of what is important for the students. So according to that, we have to organize our curriculum instructions, and we have to adapt to certain assessment strategies to make sure that this learning ultimately happens. Okay. So mainly it aims at the developing a clear set of essential learning outcomes around which all the systems components can be focused. So we are looking for some learning outcomes. Okay. And establishing the conditions and opportunities within the system that enable and encourage all the students to achieve those essential learning outcomes. Okay, so I hope it's clear. So let us look into the outcomes. What exactly are outcomes? So these outcomes are clear learning results that a teacher wants students to demonstrate at the end of a significant learning experience or at the end of a completion of a course. The student should be able to do some learning. They should be able to do some learning outcomes. So there are some different outcomes according to a particular subject that teachers can set that outcomes. So the outcomes are what learners can actually do. Okay. So with what they know and have learned during their course of study, and they are tangible applications of what have been learned. So they can apply their knowledge to do their or do the outcomes or successfully complete these outcomes. So this outcome means, so they are basically the actions or the performance that embody and reflect learners' competence in using content, information, ideas, and tools successfully. Okay, so when defining and developing a learning outcome, the educator must use observable action verbs like describe, explain, apply, analyze, evaluate. These are the different action verbs which we can formulate some learning outcomes. Okay, so I will come to the other details in the next slides, coming slides. So there are some taxonomy. The revised Bloom's taxonomy of learning levels is widely accepted to guide the educators or teachers to formulate the level of learning outcomes of a given course. Okay, so we are going to discuss about Bloom's taxonomy. So we must understand what is this Bloom's taxonomy of learning levels in order to formulate the learning outcomes. So Bloom's taxonomy means it's a taxonomy of learning levels in different cognitive levels. So the person who's Benjamin S. Bloom in 1956, he developed a taxonomy of levels of learning in cognitive domains. So what do you mean by the taxonomy? What do you mean by taxonomy? So this taxonomy means it's nothing but it's a science of classification. You can say it's a science of classification. So it's a science of classification. So these classifications of different levels of learning in cognitive domain. Cognitive domains is something related to the mental process or thinking process. Okay. So now we will discuss about this Bloom's taxonomy and how they classify this particular outcomes, not only outcomes, how they classify these different levels in this cognitive domains. Okay, the first one is the first level is the knowledge. Bloom's defined this level as remember or recall level. So basically, this is considered as the lowest level of mastery of the subject. So here, the students must be able to remember the past without understanding. Okay, here we are only looking at thinking about just students wants to remember the things. In the second level, we can say it's a comprehension. So Bloom's classified this level as the next higher level than knowledge level. So the ability to understand the subject, then should be able to explain in his own words with the new examples. The students, it's a somewhat higher level. So now the students must be able to understand the subject and explain it in his own words or in her own words. So the third one is the application level. So it's a next higher level than comprehension level. So this is the level in which the students will be able to apply. So he has to apply the learned concepts to a new context or new situation. So this is the third level. So now the fourth level is the analysis part. So it's a next higher level than application. So the students should be able to break the information into its constituent parts and determine how the parts related to one another and to overall whole structure. So he should be able to analysis or analyze the situations in a proper manner by the knowledge and other details we learned from the subjects. And another one is the synthesis. It's a next higher level than analysis. With students should be able to synthesize new materials, new products, or we can say you should be able to generate new ideas, new models, new software, whatever it is. Something should be new, synthesis. Okay. So in 60 level, it's an evaluation. It's a higher level than synthesis. So here, the student should be able to evaluate the different designs or different software ideas and judge which one is superior to other. Okay, so this is the sixth level. So in Bloom's classification of the level of mastery of learning, it helps the teachers to plan different level of mastery of subjects to be achieved. So according to this Bloom's taxonomy, the teachers can arrange their talks or arrange and plan and deliver appropriate instructions. So accordingly, we can apply some assessment strategies So this will help the students also, so that students can also understand the level of mastery of course. They must so they will be taking some course, so they can understand the up to which level they have to learn this particular subject. So according to that, they can put in they will put in their necessary time, effort, and use suitable materials and strategies for learning. So before starting a particular course, the teachers should be able to explain the possible outcomes of the particular course. So after completing that particular subject, the student should be able to perform certain outcomes. So we should be able to understand certain things. We should be able to solve certain problems. So before starting the class itself, teacher should be able to give the details about learning outcomes. So at present, in the traditional teaching approach, mainly it's the teacher centric. So basically, the teachers will stand and deliver the information. So, but in this type of approach, in the outcome-based education techniques, mainly it's a student-centric approach. It's mainly for the students. So that we have to give the details to the students so that they will spend their time accordingly to learn the particular subject. So this is the overall picture of this Bloom's taxonomy. So we can say that the level of mastery of subjects are related to thinking, or we can say it's a different cognitive levels. So in this particular technique, we know that the learners or the students are in different cognitive levels. There may be some slow learners or fast learners may be there. So according to this particular concept, these techniques, all the students should able to complete the subject or complete the subject in a better way. Even the low learners should be able to grasp the subject in a proper manner. Okay, so this is all about Bloom's taxonomy. So if someone can reflect the different taxonomy, Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive levels, it will be better. Someone can unmute and say what are the different levels that we discussed till now. Someone can unmute and
Sir, there are six steps in Bloom's taxonomy.
okay.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes, very much.
Sir,
Please.
sir, the first one is the understanding part. Sorry, the remembering part. The second one is understanding. Then the application part. Then the analysis, synthesis, and finally the evaluation.
So this is the day. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. So basically, it's a knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, then evaluation. So we are moving from the most basic to more complex portions. Basically, it's a lower order thinking skill to higher order thinking skill. Okay. So there is something called revised Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive levels. Basically, it's a Lorin Anderson, the student of. So in 1990, he revised Bloom's taxonomy and made a few changes, only a few changes. The noun form of cognitive levels are changed into verb forms. Okay. So now the knowledge changed to remember. We know that what's happening there is remembering. Comprehension changed to understand. Application changed to apply. Analysis changed to analyze. Synthesis changed to create. And evaluation changed to evaluate. So basically, we changed the noun forms of cognitive levels to verb forms. So the hierarchy, also there is one more slight change in this Anderson taxonomy. So the hierarchy or the ranking of thinking levels are now interchanged. So there is a change between synthesis and evaluation. So Anderson put synthesis at a higher level than evaluation. So he said that if someone has to create something new, he should, that's the most complex process. So it should be in the higher cognitive level or higher order thinking manner, the thinking level. So in this way, we can say that in the Anderson revised Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive levels, we can arrange, remember, understand, apply, analysis, evaluate, then create. So now the evaluation comes in the fifth level and create in the sixth level, in the highest order of thinking. So if we just look into the original forms of Bloom's taxonomy and Anderson taxonomy, so this is the change. So knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. But in this case, the synthesis then the create is in the yes. Okay. So in Anderson taxonomy, the create is the higher order. It comes in the higher order cognitive level. Okay. Or we can just place it as a pyramid, something like this. Remember, understand, apply, analyze, create, evaluate, and create. So these are the different action verbs, or we can say that we can get the details. If you set some questions related to different cognitive level, we can start with this type of set words. Like if you are planning to, if you are some questions related to apply level, then it should start with execute or implement certain things or solve the certain problems or demonstrate something. So according to these different cognitive levels, we can set out question papers also. So in that particular question papers itself, it should contain the questions from different cognitive levels. So first of all, it should start from a lower level thinking to higher level thinking. So the question should be a mixture of all these different cognitive levels. So I hope it's you are able to follow me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so at least you can give some answers here. Go to www.mendy.com and use this particular code. Are you able to follow the lecture? According to your answers, I can make some changes. So I hope you will be able to do this within 1 or 2 minutes because you already know how to handle this particular thing. So you have to go to this particular website, www.mendy.com, then use this particular code. I'm expecting at least some 50 participants will give the answers or they will reflect their opinion here. Only 12 participants send their opinion.
I request all the participants to kindly register their responses on the given website.
Okay, okay. So let's continue with the discussion. So now we are going to discuss about some of the important terms in this particular student centered teaching strategies. So we have to know some details regarding this. So first of all, let us see what is the difference between quality and standards. So how can you differentiate this? So someone can unmute and say what you mean by quality and what you mean by standard. I hope someone can.
So quality is qualitative and standard is quantitative.
Quality is
It is
qualitative.
qualitative. It is related to the qualitative aspect, but standards are the quantitative aspects.
Okay, but yeah. So in this education system, how can we replace it? So here the students are there. So when the students are learning something, so how can we replace this quality and standards in our education system? Any other reflections? Okay. So the quality is related to the process. So in our education system, we can say that the quality of education, it's a quality of educational process experienced by student. The quality of institution or quality of education is the process experienced by the student. And standards is related to product. For every product, we may set some standards. So it's related to product. Or basically here, it's the actual achievements of learning outcomes in terms of knowledge and skills. Okay, I hope it's clear. So the linking this particular quality and standards. So basically, it's the contribution of our educational process to attainment of a defined standard. So the link between these two are like this. It's a contribution of our educational process to attainment of a defined standard. So how this quality of education system linked with the standards or output of the education system. Okay, so how can we set this quality or the process in our system, in education system? We have to look into the curriculum, infrastructure facilities, teaching methods implemented, and different strategies, assessment strategies used for overall students' learning experiences, or we can say it's the process. But in the standards, the students' learning outcomes in the program, or we can say it's in the cognitive level or psychomotor or affective domains. So basically, it's something related to the mental process or thinking process. So the standard is the output or the product from the student. But teachers have to design and implement the process, because our main contribution should be in this particular region. So we have to implement the process in order to achieve the desired product from students. So we have a very tremendous job in this big role, major role in this particular situation. So now we will look into the origin of outcome-based education in India. So according to Washington Accord, basically it's signed initially by 6 countries: Australia, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, and United Kingdom, and USA in the year 1989. So the purpose is to mutually recognize and accept the qualifications, degrees accredited by the signatories of the accord. So India has become a signatory of this particular agreement in 2014 June. So the members of this member countries should follow certain outcome-based accreditation of the UG programs. So all these members should accept the definite graduate attributes. Defined definite, not only the otherwise we can say defined graduate attributes. So if you are a member of this particular accord, those countries should follow some defined graduate attributes. So then only the other countries can recognize or accept the degree or the qualification of that particular student. Okay. So what are these graduate attributes? So they are a set of generic knowledge, or skills or attitudes. Okay. So which are considered essential for all graduate, if you are say engineers or other streams. We can say the case of for university systems also. So for engineering systems, it's NBA, National Board of Accreditation is doing these things. For university students, it's UGC. UGC is taking care of other streams. Okay. So what we expect is that all the graduate engineers or the students are expected to demonstrate these attributes on completion of their degrees. So institutions who can ensure these attributes in their fresh graduates may be credited by NBA or UGC. So UGC recently also UGC released some notes or public notice related to outcome-based education. So I think I have some public notes with me. But you can also see those things as well. So UGC released some public notice related to this outcome-based guidelines. So all these things provides basically a substantial equivalences of degree. So here in India, if we take some degree from any institutions like IIT or any universities, other universities sometimes they may not give the or they may not recognize that degree. So before joining certain institutions, you have to give the equivalency certificate or recognition certificate of that particular degree. So it's happening in India, but then what should be the case of different countries? So there should be some defined graduate attributes for a particular course. Okay. So this the new paradigm of education, let us say it's outcome-based education system. That's what we are planning and discussing now. So it's a student-centric method. So this is outcome-based teaching, learning, and assessment. So we have to set our outcomes first. This is the activity-based. So the activities are carried out by the students. So the teachers plans the activities by involving these different students and facilitate the implementation of activities. So basically, it's a student-centered teaching rather than a teacher-centered teaching. Okay, so in this student-centered education system, we have to take into account the need to know and develop the whole personality of the learner. So basically, we have to understand the personality or understand the behavior of the learner or the students. Then we have to enhance the learning process and we have to promote or encourage them for the critical and substantial thinking and promote the experimental learning. We have to emphasize the learning through the active participation and promote the collaborations and teamwork. So all these are the main points that we have to cover in this particular student-centered education system. So we have to the students, but we have to encourage the students to participate in different types of activities like experiential learning or discussion, group discussion, teamwork, or doing learning by doing some experiments, demonstrating some experiments, all those things. So these are the main points in this student-centered education system. So if we just see some of the codes, basically it's a learn from the learner. So the instructions begins when the teacher learns from the learner. So you put yourself in place of a student and try to understand the mindset of the level of understanding of a student. So he's a Danish philosopher. So in order to facilitate the learning outcomes among students as per those outcomes, we must learn the subject thoroughly. So there should be there should be the mastery of subject. Or another one is the appropriate teaching methods pedagogy. Then how we can provide this knowledge to students, how we can transfer our knowledge to students. So for that we have to integrate some ICT in our teaching and learning process. Okay. So for that, just like what I mentioned a few slides before, we mentioned about the outcomes. So for a particular subject, we can say that the learning outcomes, but for each subject, there can be different units or different modules will be there. For each modules or each units, we can set different outcomes. So according to the outcomes of the particular unit level learning outcomes, we have to set our strategies, or we have to plan and teach or deliver our lectures. Okay, so there should be a mapping, or there should be both our strategy or our method of teaching, or our what we can say, our plans of teaching or delivering talks should align with the learning outcomes, unit level learning outcomes. So now we will look into some of the examples. What are the course outcomes or course learning outcomes? Okay. So in physics, you can say that in electromagnetic field theory. So let us consider these are the course outcomes. So after the completion of this particular course, the students should be able to. First course outcome is like explain electric and magnetic fields according to their force effect. It's in the understand level only. But the second outcome is it's like, or third one is the solve the electromagnetic boundary problems. It's the apply levels. So they have to apply their knowledge to solve this particular problem. Then another one is the analyze how energy and momentum are stored and transported in an electromagnetic field. So analyze level. So the level is what the cognitive levels are mentioned in this particular period. So in each module or in each course, each paper, we can set the learning outcomes. So we can say that after the completion of this particular course or after the completion of this particular module unit, the students should be able to solve these outcomes. So just like this, if you just see some quantum mechanics paper, so after the completion of this particular subject, students they should be able to solve the harmonic oscillator Schrodinger equation and consider some applications of harmonic oscillator. So it's in the apply level. So in each the course outcomes, we have it mentioned the different cognitive levels also. So I hope it's clear to all. Are you able to follow me? Some reflection?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, it's almost 15 minutes. Yeah, so I can go up to 110, isn't it?
Pardon me,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, the time. The time available for now is 12:54, so I can go up to 1 time, then I will stop there, okay, and take some questions. So this outcome-based education demands active learning by students based on the activities carried out by the students. So we must understand what is active learning. So it's nothing but we can define this active learning as any instructional method that engages students in the learning process. So whatever it is, the instructions which engage the students in this process. So in short, the active methods or active learning requires students to do meaningful learning activities and think about what they are doing. So they should be involved in some activities, and at that time they should understand or they should think about the subject, how they are doing, or they have to solve some problems. That's the simple thing. So if we just look into the learning pyramid, we can say that if we just give some lecture, it will not stay in our memory all the time. But if you then if the students read it, we can say somewhat, yeah, we can grasp something more. But if you have some audio visual, it will again increase that attention rate. But if you teach others, or basically it's an immediate use of learning, it will give you the 90% of retention rate. So you can see that if you give lecture, reading, audiovisual, demonstration, discussions, or practice by doing, then teach others. So according to this, our retention rate or the things, how much we grasp or understand that particular subject is, the level of understanding is increasing according to this method. Okay, so this is a learning pyramid, we can say, and there are some active learning strategies are also there. So learning by doing, learning through discussions among groups, and case studies are there, group discussions, field studies, or group projects. There are different kind of methods are there. Okay, so we are not going into all those details. So now we will discuss about some of the open education resources. Okay, so in open education resources, okay, I hope you can see, yeah, open education resources. So we know that due to this pandemic, everyone changed from the chalk and duster to the digital teacher, or now we have to improve our skills also. We have to update our skills. Otherwise, it's very difficult to take the class and convey our messages to the students in a better manner. So if you update, it will update ourselves, and we will get the confidence, and we can increase the content of our content in our subject, and we can have a minimum threshold in the level of innovations, or how can we impart our knowledge to the students. So if you are a master in certain skills, we can I think we can give somewhat more clear picture about our subject to the students in an online mode. So there can be different types of updates are there. So if you updates by yourself, sometimes it may be personal updating only. The teachers or educators, they attend different classes, different conferences, workshop, write papers, research articles. So it mainly comes under the personal development or personal updating only. But if it is a professional, then it's something related to the students also. So we are looking for the benefits of students. Then there are something like the social updates are also there, because we are a social animal or a social animal, or so we have to act according to the social scenario. Okay. So here we will discuss about different education resources. So mainly we depend on different e-resources. There are many thousands of e-resources are there, but it doesn't matter how many resources we have if we don't know how to use it. So that's the problem. So we have to learn, or we have to update. update ourselves to at least to some techniques. We should be the master of certain skills so that we can transfer our knowledge to students in a proper manner. So different types of primary teaching methods are there. We can say the conventional is there now. Distance education, distance learning is there. E-learnings are there. So in this e-learning also different types are there, like synchronized learning is there, asynchronous learning. Then recently UGC released some concept note based on blended learning. I don't know how many of you heard about that, but yeah, it's a recent one only. I think in last month only they released some notice related to blended learning, where the teachers should, or the universities should provide the 60% offline classes and 40% of credits can be or marks can be taken from in different online platforms. Mainly they suggest the Swayam platforms. But these type of process or e-learning process are also going on. Okay. So if you just look into this 5 education resources, we can say 5 R's of this open education resources are there. So mainly it's due to the we can say that we can reuse the content, revise, remix, redistribute, and retail. So different contents are available. So how we can use or how we can utilize these particular contents in different manners. Sometimes we may take the same material, sometimes we may revise it, sometimes we introduce something new. So different types of methods are happening. So different contents are also available with us. So, but in all the time, the license or the license may be different in different cases. There are 4 basic components are there. Key license is the key licenses. It's something like this. There are 6 licenses are there. I'm not spending much time here. You can understand these things. So we'll provide the notes also. Okay. So here it's like from most open to least open CC license. So CC BY. So it's like attribution is reuse, distribute, remix, repurpose. Yeah. So we can use it commercially also, but give the appropriate credit. So basically here we can use it for purpose, but we have to give the appropriate credit. But in certain cases we cannot use it for a commercial purpose. So according to that, there are different types of licensing options are there, keys are there. So you can see CC, BY, and CSA. So its attribution is like non-commercial, share alike, reuse, distribute. We can distribute it non-commercially under the same license. So I hope you heard about NPT here. So its contents comes with this particular license. So we can use it non-commercially under the same license. So this is another type of license. So I hope I'm not spending much time here. You can just go through this. So NPTEL is a national program on technology and adaptive learning. So different video lectures are there, and these lectures are developed by professors from IITs and IISc. So this NPTEL is started in I think 2003 with these 7 IITs. At that time there were 7 IITs, then IIC Bangalore. So they combined started this platform. So basically it's giving nowadays it's giving these online courses from March 2014 onwards. So now we can anyone outside IIT system can able to get the certificates, online certificates from IIT after completing a course from this NPTEL platform. Okay. So some highlights are there. It's one of the largest online repository in the world of the courses in engineering or basic science, selected humanities and social science subjects. And you can just look into the YouTube channels and see how many members are there or how many subscribers are there. So there are different digital initiatives from our government. Higher education department is one of these. Education Swayam, then Swayam Prabha, National Digital Library, Virtual Labs, E-Yandra, and FOSI. So these are the different initiatives from our government. Swayam means it's a study web, so active learning of young and smart minds. So basically, it's a we can say that it's a learning management system, or we can say LMS, learning management system. So it's a web-based system. So anyone can, or from any time, anywhere, teach learning is possible. Free of course, the learning free of course. So anyone, anytime, anywhere. That's the main attraction of this particular platform. So it's India's own MOOC, massive. MOOC means it's massive open online courses. So it's offering online courses. So another thing is that it's designed to achieve the three cardinal principles of education policies: access, equity, and quality. Anyone from remote areas should be able to access the quality education. That's a simple thing. So key features are the credit transfer is possible now. Then integration with the conventional education system is there. So that's what meant by this blended learning. So there will be conventional education system along with you have to take some online courses from Swayam, the portals like Swayam, and complete that particular course. So, so there is a mixture of in the conventional system and the online system. Then there will be exams in this, and different local charges are also there. So this I am introduced some 9 coordinators across the country. So AICTC, UGC, and PTE, all this comes under the particular, they are the coordinators. Then Swayam Prabha means is another initiative which provides 32 high quality educational channels through details directly to home across the country. Okay, so it's 24/7. It's morning, night, all the time. The courses are running, classes are running. Students can learn from this Swayam Prabha channel. In our state, Kerala, state government introduced some Victors channel, Kite Victors. So with which they conducted the learning process and the education. And in the last year onwards, they successfully conducted that learning process through this Kite channel, because they were able to provide the classes for all the students from first standards to 12th standard. So that's what they had. The state government handled the COVID. That's how the state government handled the COVID situation in Kerala. Then another one is after the Swayam Prabha, we can say it's a national digital library. It's again provides a framework of virtual repository of learning resources with a single search window. And the one is the virtual labs, which provides a fully interactive simulation environment to perform experiments, collect data, and answer questions to assess the understanding of the knowledge acquired. So basically, it's a online platform. People, students can do their experiments from their homes. So IIT Delhi as a nodal institute with other 10 institutes is understanding this initiative. Then another one is a FOSI, which promotes the use of open source software in education institutions. Okay. Another one is E-Yandra. It's also an online platform. Basically, it promotes the robotics as multidisciplinary engineering projects, supporting innovations by students, projects by IIT Bombay. So these are the details I would like to share with you. So as a teacher, we can say that the teacher who facilitates the outcome-based learning and active learning among students, becomes an active learner herself or himself. So the experiences gains of discoveries in many projects. So he or she mentors generations of students who can become innovators, leaders, entrepreneurs, or administrators and teachers. So yeah, so we have a very major role in this system. So that's all. So I think I can stop here.
Thank you so much, sir. I declare the house open for discussion. If any one of you have a question, you can write it in the chat box or directly ask it to sir. You can unmute and ask it to him. Sir, I must congratulate you. You've given us a very elaborate and detailed analysis of the perspective on blended learning.
It's not exactly the blended learning, it's another blended learning is another part, but I just
Yes,
that portion is there.
about the innovative techniques that can be used in online classes. Any question from any of the participants?
Since there are no questions, we can close the session.
Okay, ma'am. I request Miss Millie Arora. Ma'am Millie Arora, are you there with us?
Yes, ma'am, I'm
To
here
present
only.
of thanks. Over to you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Ankita. So, everyone, good afternoon to you all. It gives me immense pleasure to propose a vote of thanks to our worthy resource person, Dr. Rhine Kumar, Assistant Professor of Cochin University of Science and Technology. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening our minds on the topic, which is like need of the hour. Right from the outcome-based education to Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive levels, you have helped us all in understanding the teaching techniques very well. The new paradigm of education, which is student-centered teaching and learning process, is also very helpful for us teachers for mind mapping of students. The open education resources like NFT, NPTEL is also going to help teachers in lot many ways. And I cannot conclude without mentioning my deep sense of gratitude to Principal Ma'am, Dr. Rama Arora, my mentor, Dr. Minakshi Negi, and the whole team of IQAC of GGTST, KD Gurna, for organizing this wonderful FTP. Here I want to share a quote of Benjamin Franklin. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn. So thanks a lot for involving me and letting me learn in many ways. And I have learned many new things, which I am definitely going to adopt in my life. Thanks a lot, everyone. Over to you, Dr. Ankita.
Thank you. Since there are no questions from the participants, I would like to ask something to you, sir. So what is your take about the digital divide? Because after, don't you think that democratization of education, it is a basic right of everybody? And we in a developed country like India still have a lot of digital divide. And a lot of students are facing this problem. I mean, they are not able to access what the teacher is saying. There are recorded lectures, but then the digital divide is still there. So what is your take about that?
It's a fact. So it's there, the digital divide is there, but so this is the time at least we can start slowly in this. We can jump into this particular process because we have to start it from somewhere. So now, due to this pandemic, we are already in a stage that we can handle this online courses, online classes. But slowly we can improve the infrastructure and provide the facilities for students. But it's a fact that digital divide is there. But due to this pandemic, now the infrastructure is improving nowadays due to this online courses. The teachers or different institutions are looking to improve their infrastructure and trying to provide as much as they can. So at least we have to start it from somewhere. So we cannot wait to develop all the infrastructure, then launch a particular program. So it's already running in different places in our institutions, in our country also, in different IITs, these type of blended learning and all those things are running. But here also in our institution also in last the present embassy students as they are allowed to take courses in the last semester from sewing platform or postdoc. But before that, they have to get the approval from academic council or department council. So in a way, these things are happening in India, but now with this blended learning or other scientific terms, the people they think or know about the situations. So digital divide is there, but at least the thing is that we have to start it from somewhere. Something is better than nothing. So we have to work again to improve the infrastructure of all these facilities. That's the thing.
Thank
Okay.
you, sir. And there are these free platforms like Diksha platform. I think this is an initiative by the IITs.
Which platform?
Diksha platform.
Maybe I'm not aware of that, but yeah, there are many platforms are there. Yeah, different learning management systems are there.
Even the DTH connections, if somebody does not have that kind of an appropriate bandwidth, then they can go for the DTH connections, in which Tata Sky and Airtel are also coming up with a lot of educational material. So yes, there are means, you rightly pointed out. Thank you so much. Indeed, it was an honor to listen to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Shall we
Thank you,
close this
sir.